Good morning. And here we have the assessment. I'm going to go through the assessment today. Well done, those of you who filled it in. You should have had your scores by now. If not, they're on their way. And what I want you to do is, if you get less than 30 out of 37, go through these answers with me and fill in the retest version. And you will be able to up your mark. So, because we're going to go through the answers together and you're going to see what they are and why. So I'm not going to fill in my name here. I'm going to call myself Alexa. There we go. And don't forget ever, please, to put your name on a test. And we're going to go through these questions. So which of these items is not a food? Tortilla, you should know, is omelette. Tomates, tomatoes. Tenedor, fork. And calamares is squid. So clearly we can't eat our fork, fortunately. Question number 2. Well, the second question. Now this is all about el, la, los, and las. They all mean the. El is for masculine words which usually end in O. La is for feminine words that end in A. Los is for plural words that end in an S, but that are also masculine. So OS. And las is for plural words that end in S and are feminine. So AS. So words that end in O should be el, that's wrong, el marisco. Words that end in A should be la, that's wrong, la cebolla. Words that end in OS, there aren't any there, which would have been los. And words that end in AS should be las naranjas, los patatas. That's wrong, it should be las patatas. That's the only correct one. It's feminine plural. If you're still unsure of that, let me know. We'll go through a couple more exercises. Which of these is not a way of measuring food and drink? So un paquete, a packet, un litro, a litro, un pimiento, a pepper. There it is. 100 gramos, 100 grams, una botella, a bottle, and un kilo. So if you're going shopping, you could say un litro de Coca-Cola, por favor. Una botella de vino, por favor. Number 5. Which only one of these sentences makes sense? Now, a couple of you left this out. Always have a go, please. So think about meaning. I breakfast at night time in the park with my friends. We can't have breakfast at night time, so it doesn't make sense. Me ducho, I have a shower. Y luego, then, me levanto, I get up. You can't have a shower before you get up. Doesn't make sense. Normalmente, normally. Como, I eat. En la cantina, a la una. In the canteen at 1 o'clock. That makes sense. And number 5, bebo cereales y como zumo de naranja. I drink cereals and I eat orange juice. No sense. Number 6. So which of these verbs is in the future simple? So you've got to think to yourself how to say going to. And remember, I always point when we say this, going to. Because I try and make you remember that by pointing, we're looking at a V for voy a. So you're looking for voy a. So you can skip everything until you get to going to. Voy a visitar Francia. That's the future simple. I am going to visit France. The others will tell you fui, I went to Italy. Jugaba, I used to play football. I would like, that's called the conditional. I would like to eat chops. And I study, there's a present, I study a lot. Okay, number 7. Read the sentence and name the tense. Well, first of all, look at the meaning. A couple of you might have guessed on this one. So last Sunday, there's a clue. Fui, I went to church with my family. Afterwards, fuimos, we went. Always use those in your writing, please. Fui and fuimos. To a restaurant, restaurante, that was autocorrect, should have an E on the end. Y comí, I ate a lot to celebrate the end of my exams. My brother bailó, danced, and nos reímos mucho, and we laughed a lot. That's a really good phrase, that one. So you can see that we're talking the past. We're not talking about used to, we're talking about what we did. It's the preterite. It's those endings we looked at that were aste, o, amos, astes, aron. Learn them. Or the er and the ir endings are iste, io, imos, istes, ieron. Okay. This question went on for quite a little while, but what I would suggest was that you read question 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 first, and then you go back to the text. So Javi says, Siempre me levanto temprano. I always get up early. Y normalmente desayuno cereales con leche. Normally I breakfast cereals with milk. So I have for breakfast. Pero los domingos tomo algo más dulce. On Sundays I have something sweeter. Biscuits, galletas, por ejemplo. In general, I think that I have a diet quite healthy. En general, creo que tengo una dieta bastante sana. I think I have a quite healthy diet. A la 1, at 1 o'clock, como pescado con ensalada. I eat fish with salad en el Insti in college. Porque no me gustan los bocadillos que hace mi madre. Because I don't like sandwiches that my mum makes. So far we can say he doesn't eat them every day. He does have sweet treats at the weekend. And he doesn't mention what he thinks about biscuits. But that he thinks they're too sweet. Don't forget the word for too is demasiado. What does he do at lunch? He como pescado con ensalada en el Insti. He doesn't eat a packed lunch because he eats it in the canteen. Doesn't eat at home. He eats fish. Pescado. When he comes from school, what does he do when he comes home from school? Al volver a casa, on returning home, a veces, sometimes, tengo mucha hambre. I am very hungry. Así que, so, meriendo, I snack tostadas o un plátano, toast or a banana. Okay? Doesn't mention TV. He mentions food that he eats. Meriendo. Cenamos a las 9:30 en familia. We dine at 9:30 in family. So we eat together at 9:30. Let's have a look at the question. He usually eats at 8 o'clock. No, has dinner with his family. Yep, con la familia. Let's just look at that last sentence. Last night, anoche, cenamos carne de cerdo con guisantes. We dined pork with peas. De postre, comí unas uvas. For dessert, I ate some grapes, and my hermana, my sister, tomó un yogur. A couple of you fell in that trap because last night after dinner he had grapes, uvas. His sister had the yogurt. Okay, nearly there. So watch out for that. Uvas, grapes. Now then, translations. Here we go. So, a mí me encanta cenar en restaurantes. Break this down. So, me encanta, I love. The a mí is just a bit of extra emphasis. So, I love cenar, to dine, or dining, to dine in restaurants. Most of you did quite well with that one. You're a little bit thrown by the a mí. Don't worry about it in restaurants. El sábado pasado visitamos un restaurante italiano. My suggestion for translation is always read it a couple of times and then do the bits that you can and then fill in the gaps. So start with an Italian restaurant. That's the easy bit. Italian restaurant. So el sábado pasado. When was that? Saturday. Last Saturday. Visitamos. Who did it? Well, we know visitar is to visit. We did it. Visitamos. We visited an Italian restaurant. Full marks. Mi amigo pidió calamares y croquetas. Mi amigo, my friend. My friend, something. Calamares. You could have put calamari if you wanted, but we call them squid. Doesn't sound as good. And croquettes. Don't worry if you get spelling. I mean, try to spell things correct as you can. But if you make a mistake, I go back and fix your score for you. So you'll still get full marks for minor mistakes. What can go in that gap? My friend. So last Saturday, we went to an Italian restaurant. My friend, squid and croquettes. We know it's not et because it's not comió. So therefore, try and think of something else. He ordered. Yeah, he asked for. He ordered. Squid and croquettes. El camarero no era muy educado y lo peor fue que el pollo estaba frío. Don't be put off by the fact that it's long. El camarero, we should know, is the waiter. No era muy educado, I'm going to skip. Lo peor, we should know that now. The worst thing. El pollo estaba frío. The chicken. We're talking in the past tense. The chicken, frío, cold. Chicken was cold. So let's go back. The waiter no era, was not, muy, very. The waiter was not very kind, was not very nice. Educated, what does that mean? It actually means the waiter was not very polite. The worst thing, what goes in that gap? Lo peor fue el pollo estaba frío. The worst thing was the chicken was cold. And that's how I would do a translation. Don't do it word for word. Do the whole sentence, then go back. Right, nunca is never. Voy a, we saw that before, but volver tripped a few of you up. Volver is to return. So, nunca, voy a, never. I am going to, voy a. I am never going to return, ahí. I am never going to return, ahí, there. And sometimes you can figure it out by yourself, as long as you give yourself the opportunity to keep going over the sentences. I'm going to scoot to my visualizer so that we can finish question 18, and I'll show you how to do question 18 and get full marks on that.